first game published by developers Critical Rabbit and published by the people who brought you Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Don't Dry, Fall of Porcupine is an adorable game where you play as an anthropomorphized bird named Finley, who just moved into the little town of Porcupine, where everyone knows everyone. You've had a rough start to a new job as a junior doctor. You try your best to keep up with your boss's expectations and navigate building friendships around your demanding hospital shifts. Fall of Porcupine's message is clear, but the way you get through the story is convoluted and awkwardly paced. There is something deeply wrong with the healthcare system, made worse by the mismanagement of the people within it. No matter how hard doctors work, they will always be beaten down by the nature of their job. Patients will die, and without proper staffing, they will be perpetually overworked. When Fall of Porcupine was announced, I was jumping up and down with excitement for it. The art style is endearing, the writing is humorous and engaging. I found it to be very reminiscent of Night in the Woods, which I thoroughly enjoyed playing, and I guess for that reason, I maybe expected a similar level of quality, and that might have been challenging to me. The game was released on the 16th of June, and I was lucky enough to receive a copy to review. The game opens up with a dream sequence, where Finley recovers from a head wound, one that he got while tracking down a patient who accidentally found himself in a disused ward. The mystery of how the wound happened hovers over the whole game, with Finley questioning whether the incident really was an accident, or, as he believed, someone else was up there with him and the patient. The opening was absolutely captivating. You got to see a lot of Finley's character and what choices motivate him. My brain was buzzing trying to work out what happened to Finley throughout the game. And in truth, it turns out to be nowhere near as sinister or as supernatural as maybe I led myself to believe. The gameplay itself is fine. I enjoyed being a doctor. I enjoyed doing all of Finley's little tasks, giving diagnoses, giving shots, removing bandages, examining patients through mini-games that progressively became more and more complex as the game progresses. The difficulty level of the mini-games, however, was not consistent, and I often found that the mini-games were pretty poorly explained going into it, leaving you kind of just floundering to figure out what the game actually wanted from you in a certain circumstance. Finley is a junior doctor. Maybe the experience is meant to emulate. Still learning. You don't know everything. As the game got more complex, I noticed myself struggling more and more with grappling with the mini-games. I'm a kind of player that wants to at least do the very best that I possibly can. I might not be the best at a mini-game, but if I am presented a seemingly innocent and seemingly easy challenge, I'd like to be able to give it my 100% and not be stifled by difficult instruction or lack thereof. In saying that, it doesn't matter how well you do at the mini games, the story still progresses. So fuck it, give the patients whatever you want. You don't need to be a good doctor. I am a surgeon! On the topic of the ward minigames in particular, I found several bugs that just completely stopped me playing the game. I couldn't make any progress at all. I couldn't change my mind about pills that I had selected for patients. I completely lost my mouse at one point while trying to put some of the pills back. In a minigame where I was trying to rotate test tubes to make color blocks, I couldn't rotate any of them, so I couldn't place any of the test tubes down, which just defeated the purpose of the whole minigame, and I couldn't back out of it. I had to quit the game to get out of it because there's no way to exit. There's no exit menu. There's also no manual save in the game. So if you do get to a point where you can't get past and you want to restart the game, you're kind of fucked. You can only proceed from where the game has already pre-saved for you, which is really annoying. I would also try to have conversations with characters who all of a sudden were off screen somehow, and then my mobile would stop working altogether. I'd be getting notifications telling me to look at things on my phone, only for them to not be there at all. Also, does anyone else find it weird that Finley writes notes on everyone in town like a serial killer? No? Just me? I tried looking through the accessibility settings to try and see if maybe it was a me problem and it could be solved by an accessibility feature. And I ended up breaking the game even more. There's one really good accessibility feature where instead of having this stylized text option for all the dialogue blocks, you can change to a font that is friendly for dyslexic players, which I am one. So I found that that was a really good feature and I'm glad that the game offered that. But I do think that that is a very no-brainer accessibility option. So I kind of at this stage expect it from most games. So I can't really pat you completely on the back for that one. And one of the other accessibility features was a feature that you could turn on that prompted the player what the next step in the game was for you to do in case you got lost between doing mini games or in case you had a conversation with a character that you maybe missed. But when I turned it on, it was only in German. At the start, I didn't know what I turned on because I was like, why is there German on my screen? Now it's in German? And the game is set in English, so I don't know why an accessibility setting would be set in German. And then the game crashed again, so not sure about that. One little extra very nitpicky feedback from me is make the walking speed of Finley either the same as the characters that he interacts with and walks with, or make them walk the same speed as Finley. I was standing in front of wards waiting for the other doctors to just show up before I could go in there. So what's the point of me having a different walking speed to them if I have to still wait for them to meet me before I can progress? It just doesn't make sense. I don't want to have to keep waiting at doors for them to hustle their hoofies. I'm there. I'm ready to go. Don't make me wait. Free me from my groupie ways when I need to have control of Finley. But when you are waiting on other characters to get to a location, there's absolutely no need for me to be completely in control of my speed. Let the game do it. I'm happy to watch it happen. It doesn't serve any purpose, ultimately. So because of my kind of game-breaking bugs, I didn't actually manage to play very much through the game to form my own opinion with my own gameplay. So I ended up watching a full gameplay of someone else on YouTube, thank God. I was able to do that so I could still at least experience the story because that was the part of the game that I wanted the most. And I don't know if I am patient enough to wait 3 or 6 months for all of the game-breaking bugs to be patched out, especially not for review purposes. Thinking about the story itself, I think says a lot of really good messages, and I think a lot of it is important to hear, and I think a lot of people can identify with it, but overall, there is a story within the game that is mentioned a lot throughout the game, and me as a player, I was really eager to see that storyline through. And then the game takes such a sharp left turn and you never find out about it. And I don't know why on earth they would make so much effort setting up this one thing to then never address it properly. It's very frustrating. It's also life though, right? So like, in a sense, I'm happy that they did something different and didn't just hand feed me everything. But at the same time, if you're going to present a story where that is like one of the main elements of the story, at least give me a little thread. At least give me a little something to hypothesize about. You get nothing at the end of the game with that thread, which is very frustrating. So that's just me personally though. I know that there are other people that really, they played all the way through and they really enjoyed it. So that's just my personal hot little take. But overall, the visuals were stunning. They never miss. The visuals, every single time, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Every single image that you see of the game is stunningly beautiful and you are completely captured within the town of Porcupine. It is stunning. The set is stunning. I can't emphasize it enough. The other thing that is absolutely perfect, stunning, 10 out of 10 is the music. The music is so good at capturing that sort of coolness of fall, and also the sort of warmth of everything of fall, the colors and the feelings of going into something more icy, which is also sort of how the story progresses. You know, you're coming into the story bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you go through the story and it gets deeper and deeper and darker, like the seasons going into winter. So I think that the art and the music are 100%, they knock it out there. The things that let it down are, in my personal opinion, are the bugs that I think shouldn't be there on release that are so game breaking. I do think it's irresponsible at this point to bring out a game that has so many bugs and expect people to pay money for it. It's understandable if they're little, or maybe there's something that's, you know, it's a little annoyance on the screen. But if you can't progress through a game because of a bug, I do think that there's an issue with that and you need to have more play testing. And I also think that the story has good elements, but it ultimately is a little lackluster. But the characters and the development of the characters makes up for the story itself being a little bit mediocre, in my humble opinion. So I definitely think it's worth giving a go just to see if you would enjoy it. If the premise sounds interesting to you, I definitely think you should give it a go. I just think give it a go in 3 to 6 months and come back to it maybe when it's a little more ready. Pop it back in the oven, let him cook. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. Give me your feedback. Tell me what you thought of the game if you played it. Tell me what you think of the game overall if you haven't played it, based on either this review or what you've seen online. I'd love to know what you think. I also would love any recommendations for indie games and things like this that are thought-provoking. I love games that make me think. I love games that have a little bit of introspection. It feeds my soul. So yes, if you have any recommendations, I would love to know them. I hope that you are keeping well, and thank you so much for watching.